everyone and welcome to today's video. I hope the day is treating you kindly. If you're new here, my name is LatteFaerie and I'm really excited to have you here today because we're going to be making the ultimate Fairycore campsite for my island. So at least we're going to try it anyways. We'll see how well this works out. But I've already started building up the area and I'm just going to show you what we're working with. This is going to be next to the orchard and I kind of wanted it to have a similar feel to the museum build that I did the other day, and I wanted there to be a little trail leading up to it and then having the campsite area. So I'm going to begin by doing all of my terraforming first and sort of just laying out the space and how I wanted everything to flow. But I have already actually done a campsite for this island. It is the first video that I ever uploaded to the channel, so I'll link it in the cards if you want to check it out. But I wanted it to have a similar feel to that. That campsite was sort of based around having a little getaway for the villagers, and I wanted it to have a similar feel, but obviously we're not working with as much space as I did in that version of the campsite, so it's going to be a little bit more smaller and a little bit more different. Okay, so to be completely transparent with you guys, this is actually the second take that I did of this speed build. The first time when I did this build, I completed everything, I finished recording, I even took photos, and after that I realized that I absolutely hated it. I didn't like the flow, I didn't like the designs that I chose, I didn't like the way that I decorated it, I just hated it. In general, I hated everything about it. So I tore everything down. I've left the general shape of the cliff the way that it was, and we are doing a take two. So in this second version of the campsite, I'm so much more happier with the way everything ended up turning out. I was way more happier with the flow. I liked the aesthetically, it looks a lot more pleasing to me. So I just wanted to mention it because I know sometimes it seems like you decorate it and it happens all perfectly in the first go, and sometimes that's not the case, especially not for me. Sometimes I have to do like 2 to 3 tries before I get the build exactly the way that I like it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it so that way you guys knew as well. And that could totally just be the perfectionist in me, just trying to make sure everything looks exactly the way that I want it to. But I know for a fact that with this island, this is my baby. I've had this island since last year, and you know, I've just been working on it for so long that I want to make sure that this final version of it is exactly the way that I want it. So I don't feel like it's too big of an issue to constantly redo stuff if it makes you happy at least. Anyways, as I was planning out how I wanted everything to work and how I wanted to put everything, I decided to decorate the cliff as well, so that way it would be out of the way, since the way that I wanted to decorate it, as you can see, it would leave me no space to climb back up here. So I thought I'd just get it out of the way, get it done, and I decorated pretty simply in terms of my standards. I just used the crescent moon chair, some barbed wire fencing, the mush lamp, so that way we bring in some of that Fairycore elements, and some flowers. So that was pretty much it for that. I'm also going in and planting my trees and bushes and other flowers too, so that way I had a general layout of how I wanted the space to work and where I wanted to put everything. As you can see, I was a little bit indecisive with where I wanted to put the campsite, so I ended up blocking it off so that way I knew kind of what I was decorating it around. But eventually I settled on a spot. I moved it one space to the left than what I originally had planned for because I wanted to keep that cedar tree there. I really liked the way that it looked, so I wanted to make sure I kept it. And now I wanted to also use tents in this space, but I was having some difficulty trying to make it work. I don't know, for some reason it was just looking a little strange to me, so I ended up forgetting that idea and just leaving it alone. But you'll see me try to put down another tent in a little bit. Although I would still like to use the tents, I'm thinking of extending the campsite onto the beach that is next to it, so we'll put a couple of tents there maybe once that space ends up clearing up, because right now that is my flower beach and I'm storing all of my extra flowers there, so maybe when that opens up, we'll maybe do that. I'm now starting to put down the pathway, and normally I go in with the path placement tool, and I put down the center tile if I'm using a custom pathway like I am today, and I put that down in the general shape that I'm kind of looking to go in, and then I go in with the correct pieces like the corner pieces and bottom and top pieces and kind of make it the shape that I want. Normally I start out using the placement tool and then I just end up using my phone and kicking off the custom designs off the ground. I feel like sometimes you get a little bit more of an organic shape using just the phone, because sometimes the pieces will almost always land in a space you don't want it to land in, and sometimes you end up liking where it landed, so you kind of just work off of that, which is kind of how I ended up with this fidget spinner design on the ground. Anyways, I left pretty much the entire pathway placing in the video. I just sped it up enough so that way it didn't take up as much time, but it wasn't too disorientating to watch, so hopefully that's okay. We're going to add more pathways a bit later, but for now I was happy with that, so I'm adding in my flowers and starting to minimally decorate so that way I had an idea of where I wanted everything. I wanted to make sure that there was a little picnic spot here, so I added in a little picnic blanket, and now we are starting to do the next big terraforming portion of this build, which is a little sunken lake in front of the campsite. Because I did this all on the same day before I moved the campsite, so I'm just kind of working around it for now, and then later on we're going to come back in to fix it up. But I put down a peach tree since I wanted there to be a tree in front of the campsite area, and we're making a little mini floating island for that, so that way it kind of looks like it's the centerpiece. Hopefully that makes sense. And I decided just to decorate it pretty simply for this one. I was hoping I could get a little bit more of a cliff behind it, but I wasn't able to. I wish we could put trees closer to the cliffs. That is like my one big wish I want for this game. But anyways, for now I just put some shrubs behind it and a flower, since I didn't have all the items that I wanted to decorate it with, but I figured I should just decorate a little bit as I go. And then we are going to be building up a lake a little bit more. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a scenic view, so I'm just building it up a little bit. We're going to be kind of going back and forth, since I don't know, that's sort of the mood I was in. So I built up some rivers and then we went back up to the campsite and I'm putting down some trees. So yeah. By the way, I just realized that since we're now in September in real life, at the time that I'm recording now, I don't need to keep time traveling to September anymore because I'm already in it. So whoop whoop. I don't need to keep time traveling to spring anymore. I am in spring. Also, I wanted to mention that we're almost done with Opal Island. After next week's videos are uploaded, we're going to be at about 60% completion for Opal Island. So that means we might be able to start my new island hopefully by the end of September. Definitely by October I should be able to start it, but I want to make sure that I get this island finished hopefully by the end of September. So be prepared to see a lot of fun videos coming up in the next couple of weeks, because I am kind of going into hard drive mode to try to finish this because we're so close now. I only have, after next week's videos, we will have the bottom right corner, the beaches, and then a couple of small spaces here and there, and we also want to try to get Pietro on the island too. Hopefully, I'm not going to be too concerned if I don't, but I would really like to have this scary rainbow sheep walking around a Fairycore island. I just think it'd be hilarious. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that. Anyways, we are working on the lake. I'm just finishing that up. I did end up going in off camera and kind of working it a little bit more. I just added in another duck. That was pretty much it. Apparently on Opal Island we have a lot of ducks, and I also did make sure I put down a bean tossing kit so that way it can look like you can feed the ducks. So anyways, we are now starting to decorate the campsite properly with actual items. So I'm just going in and kind of putting down stuff that I had in my inventory. I decided to go a little bit more simple with the decorating for the campsite this time around. I wanted it to look really full, but I wasn't exactly 100% sure exactly how I wanted it to look because I wasn't able to fit in the tents like I had originally planned for. So instead I decided to put down the round table, which has become one of my new favorite items. I don't know why I was sleeping on this beforehand, but now it's one of my favorites, especially in the, I think it's the white birch customization. It fits in so perfectly with the theme. So I use that as like a main furniture item, and then I just use flowers for the rest of it. So it kind of brought in the Fairycore theme. In other words, I am struggling to describe how I decorated it because honestly, I don't really know. Honestly, though, if you have a Fairycore island, then you understand how difficult it is to make the campsite Fairycore themed. And even though I'm not really keeping to that theme like solidly Fairycore, because my island is a mix of different elements of those themes, um, it is a little bit difficult because you want to try to make it blend in with the rest of your island, but it's kind of hard to do unless you are really skilled at decorating, I feel like, and I'm not very skilled at decorating. In the first version of this build that I did, I had a larger picnic space, but I wasn't happy with the way it looked. If to me it felt a little bit out of place having it be a, I think I had it as like a 3x2 picnic blanket. So instead this time around I made it into a 4x4 square, and I turned it into a little stargazing area, and I think it looks really cute now. Wait, hold on, I meant a 2x2, not a 4x4. Like I've mentioned previously, this build was a little bit difficult for me to decorate and kind of get it to the way that I wanted, because I was comparing it to the old version of the campsite that I did, which is completely different layout, completely different theme, and the way that I went about that was so much more different than this one. So once I kind of got that out of my head, it became a little bit more easier. I was basically I basically had a bunch of items in my inventory, and I was just trying to find spaces for them, kind of like a puzzle piece. So we're going to be kind of going all over this whole campsite area with me just putting down items that I have in my pockets. I also ended up not recording decorating the trail part that leads up to the campsite. We are going to decorate a little bit of it so that way I had it, but I ended up just turning off the camera and decorating it off camera so that way I wasn't feeling pressured by having to record it within a certain time frame. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't mind it too much. We are going to be doing a walkthrough so that way you guys can see how everything ended up flowing together. And normally I try to record every single part of the build so that way you have a better idea and you are not missing out on too much. But for some reason on this day I was having so much difficulty, nothing was sort of working, and I was sort of just being really hard on myself basically. So looking back to it now, I'm pretty happy with how it ended up coming out. The main goal was to try to get it to match with the rest of the island, which I feel like I've accomplished. Let me know what you guys think. Have I accomplished it and have it flowed in well with the rest of the island? But yeah. I feel like this voiceover has to be just a mess. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Completely unrelated to the video, I posted a Sims 4 video the other day. We did a cast challenge and I turned some NPCs from Animal Crossing into Sims. So I'll leave a little card for that if you want to check that out if you like that sort of stuff. But yeah, I turned, I think it was Red, Blathers and Celeste into Sims, and maybe in the future we'll turn a couple more NPCs into Sims. So I'll leave that for you if you want to check it out. Anyways, we are almost done with this build. I'm just decorating a little bit next to these trees. I wanted it to be a little bit full, and then we're going to jump into the walkthrough and the final reveal, which I'm so happy with how everything ended up coming out. I ended up adding in a couple mush items, and of course I added in an angled signpost. But this is what it looks like. I absolutely love the way that it ended up turning out, even though I had so much difficulties making it when I did. But yeah, so it looks so simple, it looks so cute. I feel like it'd be a really nice place to stay and have a little mini vacation. I feel like the villagers who stay here are going to really appreciate having such a nice space for them to come and relax. And so that's what it looks like. I'm also going to show you what the sunken waterfall slash lake looks like. It looks super cute. As you can see, I added in another duck, And yeah, so maybe in the future we'll turn this area into an extended campsite, but that will be for another time, another day. Let me know what your favorite part of the build was. I would love to know. And also don't forget to like the video, it helps me out a lot. And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more from me for the future, I do a lot of Animal Crossing right now, and I would like to dabble into some Sims 4 in the future too. So if you're interested in any of that, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful day or night. I love you all so much. Thank you all so much for the support so far. I appreciate it so much. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye!